You to go up there and also take photographs or video the meeting tonight. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Third 2020 County Commission meeting. We have several folks that have asked to address the commission. So I will call your name, ask you to come to the microphone or to the podium over here to my right. If you would, just give us your name, and we ask that you try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. We will time it. If the timer goes off, you'll hear a tone or some ring or something. And we ask you to wrap your comments up if the time does go off. So first we have Dr. Merrill Bullock Neal regarding Juvenile Justice Conference. How are you this evening? Good. Welcome.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I want to talk about us. We are the Montgomery County Disproportionate Minority Contact Task Force. We are part of the Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth. We are one of 5 county task forces in the state. We commenced in 2006. We initially started off with seminars. And then in 2011, we had our first conference. On April the 4th, we will have our 10th annual joint conference on juvenile justice at Austin Peay State University from 8:30 in the morning until 5 p.m. That is our major project. We also have started recently a Saturday school, and that's on Saturday for children who are in the 5th grade who cannot read at the 3rd grade level. And in that session, we teach reading, math, science, and Black history. Back to our 10th annual joint conference on juvenile justice, we talk about many different topics. It's open to the public, it's free of charge. We run 3 strands. The first one is for adults. The second strand is for youth, 5th grade through 9th grade, and the third strand is for 10th through 12th graders. At our conference, everyone attends the opening session, then you break out in strands, and then we have a luncheon that's geared towards the youth. And then in the last session, the closing session, it is for everyone. Let me give you some of the topics that we have had at our conference. They include justice for all, addressing disproportionate minority contact, what to do when the police stops you, building citizenship through JROTC, gangs affiliation, education, and employment, visioning, it's okay to be different. And then for the older kids, we have had topics such as scholarships, resume writing, communication skills in the workplace, and in the last 3 years, we have had a job fair for the teenagers, and we've had different companies such as American Job Center, Ethics Management Solutions, Publix, U.S. Army Recruiting, APSU Dual Enrollment, North Central Institute, and so forth and so on. In addition, at the conference, what we do, in addition to addressing issues that are current relative to juvenile justice, juvenile delinquency, rehabilitation of our youth, we also have resource organizations that come and set up tables in the lobby area outside of the ballroom. These include the American Job Center, Boy Scouts of America, Bradford Health Services, Clarksville Hispanic American Family Foundation, Clarksville Montgomery County School Systems, JROTC, Montgomery County Health Department, TennCare, National Alliance on Mental Health Issues, Tennessee Voices for Children. That's just a sampling of the different organizations that we have present, so that adults, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, a lawyer, or an advocate for juveniles, you will know what services are available if your child gets into some type of trouble, but also you'll know of agencies that you can go for prevention. If, for example, if your child has a mental health issue, there'll be someone there to talk to you about the services that they provide.
Dr. Bullock-Neal, if you would, ma'am, please try to wrap your comments up.
Okay. The key to us is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men by Frederick Douglass. In the handout that you have, look at it real quick. We give out, last year we gave out 50 e-tablets to our youth, and this is from individuals such as you, some of the county commissioners, and others in the community have donated these e-tablets. If you wish to do so, please contact me. My name and information is on the program. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Anthony Gaddis speaking regarding the Second Amendment sanctuary. Mr. Gaddis.
Good evening. Please forgive me. I'm a little nervous. First public address like this. I just wanted to say that the Constitution is the supreme law of our republic. Article 6, Clause 2 specifically states that. And any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is null, void, and unenforceable, which is determined by the Supreme Court's decision in 1803 with Mabry versus Madison. In 1791, the Bill of Rights was ratified and added to our Constitution. In the Bill of Rights, we have the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom of the press, freedom to protest the government. We also have being secure from unwarranted searches and seizures, the right to due process under the law, the right to call witnesses in our defense, the right to a speedy and public trial. The Second Amendment secures all of these rights. I think we need to go back and read the Declaration of Independence and specifically look at the usurpations of King George. They look similar to some usurpations that are going on today in our very own government from the past 40 years. Now, I know a lot of people want to argue. They say, well, it says a well-regulated militia. Well, I'm glad they bring that up, because as the supremacy law says that the federal laws are the supreme laws, well, 10 U.S. Code subsection 246 defines that our militia, the unorganized and organized militia, is the American citizen. The Second Amendment secures everything. And when I hear that certain legislators in our state want to introduce red flag laws, well, these red flag laws are repugnant to the Constitution. I just think it's something we should all look at. And I think we here in Clarksville, Tennessee, Montgomery County, we need to declare not just to Tennessee, but to America that yes, we are a sanctuary for the Second Amendment and all of our amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gaddis, what's your address? I'm sorry.
I live at 103 Foxland Drive.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, we have Mr. John Barthelmass. I hope I got that somewhere close.
You actually came very close.
Well, I apologize. Thank you,
No
sir.
worries.
Good evening.
With that last name, believe me, I'm used to it. Hi, my name's John Barthelmess, and I live at 1805 Walter Road in Fredonia area. And I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the resolution and declaration in support of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, which states in part, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, was so important to our founding fathers that it was preceded only by our right to free speech in the Bill of Rights. The Second Amendment, sometimes described as the right that protects all other freedoms, is under attack by those who wish our republic to be fundamentally changed into a mere shadow of what was created back in 1776. We, the people, and the government of Montgomery County must stand tall and issue this resolution of support for the Second Amendment to be heard loud and clear by those trying to destroy this God-given right. Now, some might ask why our county commission should spend time and resources on this resolution. Some might ask if there's a need to issue such a proclamation. The answer is simple. Our country, both at the national and local level, was founded on active participation in matters of governance. In this instance, the resolution supporting the Second Amendment sends a clear message to our state and federal legislators that we in Montgomery County will not stand silently by while others destroy our Bill of Rights. Some might say that limits on the Second Amendment make common sense. One only has to look at our neighboring state of Virginia to see how quickly a small group of power brokers can strip our constitutional rights without concern or remorse. I've lived in a state that now is at the forefront of radical gun control. In that state, it's now illegal to buy any handgun that's not on their approved list created by the state. It's now illegal to own such handgun and many rifles without the state knowing who owns those guns and where they're kept. It's now illegal to buy any ammunition without submitting to and paying for a state background check for each and every purchase. None of these regulations were even dreamed of just 10 short years ago, and now they're the law of the land. Some may even use the recent proposal by our governor suggesting a state constitutional carry law as justification against passage of this resolution. I believe that much of the impetus for Governor Lee to embrace this legislation was the wave of pro-Second Amendment resolutions already passed by Tennessee counties, 54 counties and growing by my count as of now. We need to add Montgomery County to that list. I'd also like to point out that support for the Second Amendment is about far more than just how you can carry a gun. Thank you for your time and consideration in this very important matter, and we look forward to your successful passage of this resolution.
Thank you, sir. Miss Jessica Brezinkin? Brezinkin?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. I did the
okay.
best I could. If you would give them your name and your address, please, ma'am. And
My name's Jessica Bresnikan. My address is 828 Grace Chapel Road, Southside, Tennessee. Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of Montgomery County Commission, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight about the Second Amendment resolution submitted by Ms. Tangi Smith. I want to thank Commissioner Smith for her show of support for our residents' rights to keep and bear arms, and Commissioner Jason Knight and Joshua Beal for their support of the resolution by attending the meetings of Clarksville-Montgomery County Stands United. Our group started our petition drive on the 8th of February. We only had 3 weeks to gather 1,318 signatures. We averaged 435 signatures per week. In 3 weeks, this was what we were able to do. Imagine if we had 6 months. Of those volunteers that went out and got petitions, one man was 94 years old. He was a U.S. Army veteran, and he knew how important this resolution was. And the reason this resolution is so important is the red flag law that has been submitted not only infringes upon your Second Amendment right, but your 4th, your 5th, your 6th, your 8th, and your 14th. I gave everyone a sheet showing the amendments and how they were impacted. You may wonder why I'm standing here in front of you today. I was a member of the U.S. Army. I was a reserve police officer in the state of South Carolina, and I am a victim of domestic violence and rape. I never want to be in a position where I do not have the ability to defend myself and make sure that never, ever happens to me again. And someone takes away the only equalizer I have against an enemy who is much larger than me, then that leaves me ready to be a victim again. I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen to anyone, ever. If we can prevent that, we should. According to the FBI data released in 2018, there are 3.4 police officers for every 1,000 citizens in this nation. The average response time to a home within the city limits is 10 minutes. That's average. So you got 10 minutes that you have to try to defend yourself as best you can with whatever you have available until help arrives. The 2018 report also shows that violent crime fell by 3.9%. Murder and manslaughter fell by 6.2%. However, rape increased by 2.7%. It is the only crime that had an increase in the 2018 FBI data report released. It is our right to prevent this from happening to us by having the ability to choose in what manner we can defend ourselves and not be restricted by legislation that limits what tools are available to us, such as our right to choose which firearm we want to carry. With that said, I implore you to pass this resolution and send a message to your residents that in Montgomery County, we want our law-abiding citizens to feel safe and secure in knowing their constitutional rights will not be whittled away one piece of legislation at a time. That here in Montgomery County, we honor and hold sacred our constitutional rights for everyone. Anyone that supports the Second Amendment, would you please stand? Thank you. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, we had a fifth person to speak, and they've asked that their name be removed from the list. And so we're going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. We have 4 presentations tonight. First one is our Rally for Schools, Ms. Constance Brown. Ms. Brown, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I don't know how to, oh, there it is. I didn't have to. That's a good thing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Constance Brown. I am the president of the Clarksville-Montgomery County Education Association, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight about Tennessee, Montgomery County, and public education. Matt Murray, who is the assistant director for the Boyd Center at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, in his 2019 report to the governor, stated that since 2009, there have been about 500,000 new jobs in the state of Tennessee. We've enjoyed a growth rate of about 1.8%, and our unemployment is now at about 3.2%. Also, in a 2020 U.S. News report, Tennessee now ranks 10th in the nation for economic growth. We are 14th when it comes to our young population, ages 25 through 29. We're 5th for our migration rate, which means our people are not leaving our state. And we are 12th for the gross, gross domestic product growth rate. In Clarksville, Montgomery County, since 2000, we've enjoyed a 16% increase in population growth, $5 billion gain in capital investments, and 7,600 new jobs. And during 2014 through 2017, the household median income in this county and city grew by about $8,500. That's about $5,000 more than the median household income for the state of Tennessee. And the manufacturing sector alone in this county in 2017 produced a $247 million payroll. So how has public education played a role in the growth in Tennessee? Well, in 2009, the Tennessee Department of Education made sweeping changes in K-12 curriculum and standards. All Tennessee graduates now must take the ACT to graduate. They are now required to have 22 credits, 4 in math. All must be in high school, and one of them must be above Algebra 2. All students must take either chemistry or physics to graduate. We've added a half credit of physical education to the PE and wellness component. We've added personal finance, and students are required to take a cluster of classes called a focused elective group. and this is 3 credits or 3 years, could be in fine arts, humanities, could be in science, math, AP, could be in career technical education, or what I call vocational education, or of course in this county, JROTC is an option for a focused elective group. We are now fourth at the national average for 4th and 8th grade reading scores. For the states who require the ACT now for graduation, and there are 20 states, we are above the national average. We're known as a K-12 improvement leader. On-time graduates, we are 8th, and we're 5th in the nation when it comes to graduating our students of color. And you can see from this graphic that we lead the Southeast in on-time graduation. Industry looks at strong public schools when it scouts places to locate. In 2009, the Tennessee Department of Education made these changes and required them. School systems implemented them. But ladies and gentlemen, it was educators and students that made this happen. We get you top 10 results, but we're in the bottom 5 in national funding for public education. For 51 years, and as far back as I can find is 1969, that's why I'm saying I'm stopping at 51 years. The highest we have ever ranked is 45th in the nation when it comes to per pupil funding. In 1979, in fact, we dropped all the way to 49th, only ahead of Mississippi. And we have never been higher than 8th when we compare ourselves to our Southeast neighbors. You can see from this graphic, this is current. We are now sitting at 10th for our Southeast neighbors when it comes to per pupil funding, and again, only ahead of Mississippi. Tennessee is also a minority funder of education, meaning that they give less than 50% of what it costs to operate a school system. That once again puts the state of Tennessee in the bottom half of the nation so far as funding goes. What we're asking of our state legislators this year is to make an investment of $1,200 more per student. That's a $1.2 billion investment, but it only will get us to the Southeast average. When this fiscal year began for the state of Tennessee, we had $5.5 billion in reserves. We're only 2/3 of the way through this fiscal year, and we've already added $1.2 billion to those reserves. And much of the other monies that are in the reserves in our state's mattress are recurring funds. So we need a $1,200 investment, that's a $1.2 billion just to get average in the Southeast and no better. Our students and teachers deserve this. Since 2015, growth in unbudgeted revenue has doubled, but investment into teacher salaries has only been about 1% of that growth. Tennessee ranks 39th nationally when it comes to teacher pay. And Clarksville Montgomery County school system is the 5th largest in the state of Tennessee, but its teachers rank 23rd on the list of teacher pay. This young man, if you've been around for a little while, you saw him here. He presented to you about 5 years ago. This is the epitome of what public education produces in this county and in this state. He is from a Title I school. He's at Vanderbilt University, and he will be an excellent surgeon one day. And because of young people like Deshaun Dale, public education deserves the best the state of Tennessee and Montgomery County can give.
But Clarksville, we can now change that. We need 600 of us to attend the Rally for Schools on Monday, March 16th.
The way we get allocated state funding without increasing our taxes is to show we deserve it.
Because if we show up, we will show our elected officials that in this election year, our schools, teachers, and students deserve the best.
So, to be a part of making a difference and being a part of this bipartisan event, join us at Nissan Stadium in Nashville on Monday, March 16th at 11 a.m. And if you need a ride, join the breakfast party that morning at 9 a.m. at Life Point Church, right off of Exit 8. We'll have some free food and drinks and then transportation to Nissan Stadium.
Show that you care about education and text RALLY to 84693.
Text RALLY to 84693. Plus, the first 1,000 to register gets a free t-shirt.
Sign up today and let's rally for schools. Tennessee is known as the volunteer state, and we got that nickname because our forebears showed up in force and fought for causes that they felt were worthy and right. Public education is a worthy cause, and we need people like our forebears to show up in force and fight for the educators and students in this state and in this county. So my questions to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is this: will you be that volunteer? And will you lead your constituents in the fight that is right, and that is public education? We will be there on March the 16th, and we certainly hope that you will be too. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have the Devil Burgers robotic team from Rossview and Richview. Commissioners, without objection, I think maybe a family member might want to video this. It can't be live streamed, but without objection from any commissioner, I'll allow them to stand in the back so they can get a video of their kids. So if one of the parents wants to do that, and y'all come on up. As they're making their way up here, this group actually came to my office a couple of weeks ago and presented to me, and I just thought it was so spectacular and just so proud of what some of our kids in our community are doing. So I wanted them to share it with you tonight.
We have a video we'd like to play if. He's gonna.
This one. There we go. Let's start over. You ready?
Hi, I'm Nate Smith.
I'm Ryan Bellamy.
I'm Gavin Weddington.
I'm Charlie Olita.
I'm Caitlin Mann, and we're from Devil Burger Robotics. A little bit of history behind our team is we all went to elementary school together at Moore Magnet, and we worked on the first all-elementary school team in Tennessee together in 4th grade, and we've known each other for some longer than 2nd grade, and we decided to come back together and work together.
So the robotics league that we're in is called FLL, which stands for First Lego League. And First Lego League is a Lego robotics league that is split up into 4 parts. And there's competitions. There's a qualifier that leads you to regionals, and regionals goes to worlds.
One of the first of these parts is core values, which is all about teamwork.
So with the core values on competition day, we go into a judging room and we get judged on how well we work together as a team, and we have a task, like one team might be on one side and we have to relay building instructions and other people who can't see, and it core value shows impact on our community with what our project is. And
So one of the other aspects of it is robot game, which is shown here.
So the robot game consists of a mat and different challenges that First LEGO League sends to us, and we must program our robot to do challenges. Each year these challenges are different. This year consists of anything from pushing blocks to running up ramps. And when it comes to competition day, all the programs that we have made on our robot show in 3 rounds of competition to collect points, and you get certain awards for how many points you score, and that better increases your chances of winning overall.
Along with robot game comes robot design.
So with robot design, we go into a room and the judges will ask us about why we designed the robot the way we did, why certain parts are there, and overall why we built our robot to optimize it the way we did. They also judge us on the way that we programmed it to do the missions you see here.
And the final, which we consider to be the most important aspect, is the project.
The project is what sets FLL apart from other robotics leagues, and each year there's a theme. This year was City Saver, and you have to figure out, or City Shaper, not City Saver, but you have to figure out a problem that relates to this theme, and you have to figure out a solution to that problem. So this year we chose, the problem that we chose was dilapidated areas. And what we had to do is we had to create a project, a solution and a project, and present it to judges on competition day. And if you wouldn't mind, we'd like to show everybody our project that we made for our solution. Which is a slideshow.
I don't know how to load our. Oh, wait, I think I might have, okay, I think I got it. I think I got it.
You just on Google. You looked up Google on Google.
Well, I had to log in.
Once you sign in, you're going to drag it to the other screen.
I know.
They want to be in docs.
I got this. It's in docs. Sorry. Would you like to go and start?
I'll wait for you.
Okay.
You ready?
I believe so.
Hello, we are Drape.
And we are here to drape Clarksville in business and beauty.
DRAPE is a nonprofit organization that stands for Dilapidated Renovation Association of Public Enterprise.
Our goal as a nonprofit is to get others involved in the community by rewarding them for cleaning and beautifying Clarksville.
We will engage the public in cleaning our city of Clarksville.
Drape's goal is to incentivize volunteers to continue to come and clean their local areas.
We will partner with businesses to get more involved in the business community to boost the economy and bring overall wealth to the area.
We have found a way to get our community involved in socializing while making our world a better place one city at a time.
Our plan to interlock the community with volunteerism and community service will include
A fun way to get rewarded for your hard work in the community.
as well as making others feel involved and intertwined in the community.
We would go to places in need of cleaning once or twice a month.
This is when the magic happens.
This is when citizens will be able to volunteer to help clean the community.
Now, how does Drape affect a local business?
Well, for starters, we'll be able to clean areas around local businesses and bring more people to those areas.
We will also partner with local businesses so that they can help us provide incentives for our volunteers so that we can continue to repeat the cycle.
We've shared our ideas with many nonprofits who have given us advice on what it's like to be a nonprofit and how to create our program. We also pitched our ideas to a state representative and a circuit court judge.
A basic city needs many things. A city needs a community, clean places to prosper, and opportunities to interact with each other in it. All things provided by Drape.
We personally have seen many rundown and abandoned local places, as I'm sure you have too. We plan to clean these places, bring the community together, and attract many businesses to the city, all things everyone wants and needs.
As you can see, we found that when you combine volunteering with getting people involved, it will lead to a growth in the economy and a greater feeling of camaraderie among the people in the area.
We will also be able to partner with businesses, and this will allow us to get more people to those businesses and in turn making more business and wealth in the community.
So studies have found that an average volunteer work hour in a community is $15. And if you pair that with one of our 4-hour events, we would be making an economic value of $5,000.
The total yearly estimated economic value is $120,000.
That's $120,000 the city can use to repave roads, build more ramps in public areas, and build more public areas like the event center.
Now the real question is, how we go about achieving this number.
There are a few simple steps to accomplish this.
The first step is to find multiple businesses to sponsor all of our events. Next, we choose a business to sponsor one event. Finally, we announce the event to the public and wait for all to participate.
We also plan on releasing an iOS app that will alert users when and where our events will take place. We also plan to use this as a way to keep track of who we're incentivizing, as well as how many hours each person has put in.
I know probably none of you can see this, but we have an app. We have a prototype of an app, and on the home page it shows you how many hours you completed, and on the schedule it shows you when and where the events will be. Just pan it around. And we have the incentives tab at the bottom that you can click on, and it shows you our tier system for however many hours you've worked and what you get for each tier. For example, let's say you work like 15 hours, then maybe for 15 hours you have bronze tier. Bronze tier will get you $2 off purchase at Publix, for example, or Don Concho's, like free small cases. So, are you ready to help us help you?
I wish y'all would, while the music was playing, I don't think they could hear y'all's name, and if you would, tell what your age and what school you go to.
I guess I'll start. I'm Nate Smith. I'm 14, and I go to Rossview Middle.
I'm Caitlin Mann. I'm 13, and I go to Richie Middle.
I'm Ryan Bellamy. I'm 14. I go to Richview.
I'm Gavin Weddington. I go to Rossview Middle.
I'm Charlie Olita. I'm 14, and I go to Ridgeview Middle.
So the other part of your story is y'all all went to Moore Magnet together. Somebody tell the story of how you got back together.
So in our 6th grade year, because we split between 2 different schools, we ended up joining the robotics teams at those schools, but we found that we didn't enjoy it as much as when we worked together. So the past 2 years, we've created a home team so we could work together.
Awesome. I'd like to give y'all a county coin. Y'all need to be sure and ask the commissioners to donate as well.
Gavin, that's you.
Okay, so
No, it was Gavin. He was the
Oh, it's
financial
Gavin?
advisor.
Okay.
So-
Gavin's the financial guy.
after the qualifier in Clarksville, we went on to the regional competition in Memphis. And at Memphis, in all 4 areas, we did the best out of everyone, and we advanced to the world competition. We were first in the regionals, and the world's competition is in Houston, right? Houston, and it's April 14th. And we're looking for anyone who wants to donate to our trip to Houston. Any amount of donation is welcome. And we're also looking forward to having volunteers and helping the community with our project that we're implementing in
Or
the
if
spring.
there's any way that you as the county commissioners could help us in any way implement our project.
All right, thank y'all.
Why did you bring the box?
I don't know, he told me to bring it back.
I did. Gavin, why did you bring the box?
All right, next we have Air Methods, Ms. Casey Haymans. Good evening.
I'm glad you came up here because I was thinking if the teenagers that built robotics were having trouble with this, I had no hope.
Not gonna happen.
All right, got it. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Kevin Nooner. I'm the program director with Vanderbilt Lifelight. I'll be presenting tonight with Ms. Casey Haymans. We appreciate the time. I just wanted to give you a little bit of information on Vanderbilt Lifelight and the No Membership Required campaign. I want to start by saying we've been a staple in the Montgomery County area since we opened our base in 2002. And I was very fortunate to come on with Lifelight shortly after that in 2003 and flew a lot of my missions out of the Clarksville base up here. I'm actually a resident of Robertson County, but this is where I sort of grew my roots within the program. Our program is really an air ambulance, and it's often been described as doing critical care medicine in something about the size of a jacuzzi tub, and that's about right. We don't have a lot of room in the back of the aircraft, but we fly with nurses, paramedics, and physicians that are highly trained to be able to do almost every procedure that you could have done to you in the emergency department, except we do it in the air going at about 140 miles an hour at about 2,500 feet. So a lot different than what happens in the emergency department. We've really, from our very roots, have been a community asset. When we first did our certificate of need to Tennessee, we listed Vanderbilt Lifelight as a public service, not a service just for Vanderbilt. It was a service for all of the citizens of Tennessee. Our partnership with Montgomery County EMS and starting with Gateway Hospital and now with Tenova Clarksville has been founded ever since we started. Vanderbilt University Medical Center and Vanderbilt University has also been a big partner to Montgomery County. You can see some of the highlights here. We've got just under $20 million in uncompensated care that was provided by Vanderbilt University Medical Center last year. And then also just under $800,000 of financial aid that was paid for by Vanderbilt University. Specific in Montgomery County, last year in 2019, we did about 250 flights. Those were roughly evenly distributed between scene flights for Montgomery County EMS and flights that we did out of Tenova Clarksville Hospital. Like I said earlier, we do consider ourselves to be a community asset, and so you'll see on the right side of the slide, we will transport patients to wherever they need to be transported, not just Vanderbilt University Medical Center, which is a common misconception for us. But our goal is really to provide the best care that we can to these patients, no matter where they're being transported to. I want to introduce you to 3 of our crew members that actually live in Montgomery County. On your left is Miss Liz Henley. She was a previous program director. She was one of the ones that actually probably taught me how to do my job. In the center there, you've got Mr. Kurt Krakowski. He's one of our base managers. He actually manages our base in Henry County up in Paris. And on the right, you have Steve Wilkinson, and he was truly one of the people that taught me how to do my job. He was one of my preceptors when I first started flying. I mean, when you look at these three people combined, that's about 6,400 patient flights that those three people have done. So very experienced crew that live and work here in Montgomery County. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Casey.
First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you, county commissioners, residents of Montgomery County, for allowing us to come out and speak to you and being a part of your county. No membership required. Where we started this is we started to worry about, people were starting to worry about that big, large bill, that $54,000 bill. How could we pay it? What's going to happen to my house? What's going to happen to my car? What's going to happen to my family? So what we decided to do is we were going to go under the exact same way that your EMS and your hospitals start to work. It's been a long, challenging road, but we've done the best that we can, and we've come up with a great solution. So memberships have been out there on that preconceived notion that if you buy a membership, you will no longer be balanced billed. Balanced billed is where you're getting that $54,000 of what you're going to be responsible for. What we've decided to do is we developed a patient advocacy group who will work through this whole process of the billing with the patient for any denials. The only thing that we do is we have the patient actually get on the phone with our patient advocacy, and we walk through this whole process with them with their approval. Next is what we started to do after our patient advocacy group started. We started getting network with insurance companies. So we started to work really, really closely with Blue Cross Blue Shield, AmeriGroup, Humana within Tennessee, Medicare, Medicaid, governmental insurance. You cannot balance bill. We should not be giving memberships to those who cannot be balanced bill on a specific income. Our patient advocacy, our main goal is to relieve the patients of any stress or a financial burden so that they can truly focus on their recovery. They will reach out to this patient within about 30 days, typically by phone. After phone, you will actually get an insurance verification in a packet. This will never show the bill amount, so the patient never has to worry. This will also allow them to be able to reach out to us and allow us to work out through the whole process. If you start to look at your average out-of-pocket since we've started working with in-network, the average out-of-pocket for Montgomery County total is $173. This is where the patient is actually responsible for their copay and their deductible, and these are actually rolled in. Your governmental insurance here in Montgomery County is your average is $14. Your Medicaid is $0 out of pocket. Your Medicare patients without a secondary income or insurance is $233. Your private insurance, now remember this is with your copay and your deductible with it, is $350. Self-pay is $126. Many people wonder why self-pay is so low. We work very closely with the exact same model of what the hospital has. If they write off a portion, 75%, 100% on indigent care, we're going to follow that exact same model with in-kind charity. This is where we get that total average out-of-pocket. For the two, if you look over to the other side, where we got these numbers as of right now, those were 172 flights billed, and this is where we got these average out-of-pockets. All of them have not been billed because we said we did about 250 flights, and those are still in the process of being worked. So the main portion of this is our customer experience. We want to reduce balance billing. We want to be very transparent with our customers and our clients, and we wanted to give them a higher customer care. With the in-networks strategy, we're going to continue to work in getting in network with United Healthcare, Cigna, and Aetna, as that we constantly are working with them throughout this process, but we are within the largest private insurance in the state of Tennessee. There is a better way. Memberships are only meant to be a portion of your deductible. Why pay for a yearly membership when you can only have to worry about paying your deductible and not worried about being balance billed? And here are just some misconceptions. You have to have a membership to fly. You don't. They will take you anywhere. That's not necessarily true. You do have to have EMS or hospital be that main point of contact. Memberships are an insurance. That is not true as well. Those memberships of what you buy are only going to go towards that patient's deductible or copay. So if you have a membership, know that you're still responsible for your deductible and copay. This is why we've eliminated it. If you have any questions or any concerns, we would love to answer them, but mostly we just wanted to let you know that we're very proud to be part of your community, and we wanted to do it the exact same way as Montgomery County EMS in your hospital system. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. Doug England, Refugee Resettlement. How are you tonight?
Mayor, I appreciate the opportunity. Is I have 30, 45 minutes? Is that what I should cap the brief off to? Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity this morning. The reason why I have asked the opportunity to brief refugee resettlement and why it's significant in Montgomery County is to kind of slow it down exactly what it truly means, what it means in Montgomery County, because there are other counties that have passed resolutions. And if you see counts on it, a resolution really doesn't have a lot of teeth, but it just points out an official stance. I'm not here to convince you, it's information only, that when a decision is to be made in the future, then you'll have some better education. You can start self-educating what it truly means from an impact to Montgomery County. So Doug England, I retired 3 days ago, 33 years in the Army, right out here at Fort Campbell, 20 years of special operations, and 6 years, 9 months in the areas that we were speaking of, the refugees reside. And so I have quite a bit of experience with this, and from the human side and from the economic side, I could bring some context to it. So where we're at today, refugee resettlement, some of the facts, and I'll get into the history next slide. The 26th of September, an executive order was passed by the president to allow local and state governments the ability to really take control of their own economic and their ability to really say yes if they want to be part of refugee resettlement. It's an automatic opt-out, or you have to opt in. So if you say nothing, you are opting out, which means, and I'll cover how the registry works, you are not on the registry for refugees to be settled in Montgomery County. So if you do nothing, that's the way the case is now. The problem is, on December 18th, the governor spoke for all counties in Tennessee to opt in, which goes against the 10th Amendment, and I'll cover, so you separate refugees and the decisions that have made at two separate categories. It just happens to be refugee resettlements are the byproduct of a decision made from the 10th Amendment. The reason why we have time is January 15th of this year, a Maryland federal judge placed an injunction on this executive order, which means this process is on hold. It's a temporary hold, but it allows us time to research and when the decision is to be made from your perspective, what that truly means. And of course, all these deadlines have passed, so we are waiting for that injunction to be affirmed or passed and then drive back on. So some of the refugee facts. Dating back all the way to World War II, the reason why U.S. policy is to settle refugees in the U.S. is we had 250,000 displaced Europeans after World War II. So the U.S. developed legislation and policy after Vietnam with other displaced refugees. U.S. policy is to take in refugees, and that has always been U.S. policy, and it is today and from here on out. It really came about in 1980 where resourcing from a federal level was added to the Refugee Resettlement Act of 1980 to then provide federal funding for every county, every municipality to take care of those refugees and to settle them into the U.S. So it was a federally granted position, and it was no cost to the states and to the local municipalities, so it didn't violate the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. And you can see within the chart, everything that I brief, and if you'd like to write it down, it is within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Refugee Resettlement. That is the repository of information, facts, because there's information on the web right now that's going to try to skew you in a different direction. That is the true facts if you want to go from a government resource perspective, or RR. So here's why things have changed. So since conflicts and since insurgency and other organizations have tried to attack and have attacked the United States, this has been a pathway to get into the U.S., then to create harm on our soil, which they have done. And so there are record numbers of those that are embedded within these refugees. So now it's now creating a risk for citizens. So if you look at 2001, right after 9/11, you can see there was a significant drop in refugee resettlement because we were under-resourced from a federal level to identify those that are trying to get in the U.S. soil acting as a refugee. So over time, since 2001 till today, all the funding that would come with every refugee to come into this county has then been shifted to the process which you see on the right of your slide. The funding did not increase for refugee resettlement. It was now taking from what has been given to the refugees, has been given to the UN to register these refugees, to the U.S. State Department, and this is where I've seen it firsthand. It takes weeks and months for these refugees to be registered within the UN database. That's just registering that they are a bona fide refugee. Refugee, the actual definition and description of refugee is in the Office of the Refugee Resettlement within the federal site. Once they're registered and they are deemed to be pushed out of those refugee camps, and I will tell you, those refugee camps are horrible. If you think you've hit rock bottom, go overseas and take a chance, or on a mission and see some of these refugee camps. To find those that, how do you pick those? And then you start pushing them through agency and FBI biometrics just to get them registered. So this is all expensive. So all that cost has been shifted into the biometrics. Department of Homeland Security, the DHS now has to incorporate them, and how are we going to get them into the U.S.? Department of Health and Human Services is the last stop to put them into the Office of Refugee Resettlement. So at that point, when you have a vetted and bona fide refugee to come into the U.S., they then go to the registry of those counties, not states, but counties that have opted in to seek or to allow refugees to be settled in their county. That is the pathway. So if a county has not opted in for refugee resettlement, they will not be then located in that county. That's the way it is today. With the governor's declaration that Tennessee is a state hold, that violates your right to then become the adjudication, or to actually make the decision if Montgomery County wants to or can afford, or what your stance is. So the one rule that is in the Refugee Resettlement Act of 1980 is that if you do not opt in, you cannot initially receive refugees. But up to 50 to 100 miles, if Davidson or Robertson County wishes to seek refuge or collect and receive refugees, if they cannot afford it, and if they house them, they can relocate them into adjacent counties up to 100 miles away, which brings them into Montgomery County. That's why this is important to know really what that means. So some of the facts, there is a huge decline, and it could get below 30,000. It was up as high as 100,000 a year. And the majority of these are Ukrainian, Russian, and some Syrian, but there are, if you get on the site, you can see where those bulks are. So the cost, what happens now is all that cost that used to go with that refugee from a federally funded program is now only 8 months. And that cost is now transferred into 4 non-government organizations, which are mostly church organizations, to then feed them, house them. So that's where the money is going, from federal money for 8 months to the NGOs, non-government organizations. Once 8 months is expired, they are now on 10-CAID, they're on Medicaid, and they're on local municipality entitlements. So what that means is a refugee is not a legalized immigrant. A refugee has immediate U.S. status when it comes to entitlements, when it comes to health care, Medicaid, 10-CAID, and also for welfare. So that is the number one difference between immigration and refugee resettlement. So most of the money is spent on welfare alone, and you can see within the data here. But the point I really want to make is, why are we talking about this? It's not if you agree or disagree if U.S. policy should settle refugees. That's not the point. The point is the money has transferred out of the national treasury into your county, has gone to those NGOs, which means policy is bringing in refugees, which puts the cost on Montgomery County. 100% after 8 months. It is now, which back to the economic growth and development by Ms. Brown, kind of dovetails in that we are a growing society. Is this something that you want to look at to bring in, which will then bring down your economic growth significantly, depending on how many refugees come in? So the decision will need to be made eventually, because January, February, if you look on the docket now at the General Assembly, there are House bills and there are Senate bills that are being pushed through, and they're being pushed through for second consideration through the committees. They will end up on the floor for vote. 2 bills to look at. One is, do you agree or disagree with refugee resettlement? That is one. The other one is the 10th Amendment violation. So other things that are pushed on Montgomery County by the federal government or the state that creates a cost to Montgomery County. That is a lawsuit that's going on right now. So it's 2 different things. So keep an eye on those. They will come to fruition at the end of the month and turning into next month. So just that's the reason for letting you know, to keep an eye on those, and to if you go to the General Assembly at capitol.tennessee.gov, you'll see where those are pushing through, and you can see the context of that bill. So here's, as a 33-year veteran, my last job was the Senior Warrant Officer of the Army for the Secretary of the Army. So I have seen the veterans issues that we have from deep and at the highest level of the military. I want to bring it down to where Montgomery County is truly one of the most densely populated counties in the U.S. that the Department of Defense keeps an eye on, because Fort Campbell is a city within itself. It actually has a huge population increase every time a decision's made. There's a Chinook company coming in, and you know that's great for economic development. But if you look at it from a schools and employment, that's great for the economy. But the more we bring in, today we separate 7,000 soldiers a year. That could be as high as 1,000 or 1,100 soldiers that separate just from Fort Campbell, looking for a job, looking for employment, so when you looked at 7,600 new growth jobs in a year, just for 1 year, 7,000 of those aren't just for Montgomery County. They could be going to Christian County or Stewart or elsewhere, but they are departing Fort Campbell and living in the local area. So 20% of your population are veterans. That does not include soldiers that are stationed at Fort Campbell and their family members. 20%, it gets up in the mid-30s, population of the adult population of Montgomery County are veterans, soldiers, or family members of veterans. It's significant. So with that said, almost 6%, that's 900 veterans, 17,000 disabled, 700 homeless veterans in your county, 1,600 of them live below the poverty level. So there is a problem with the Montgomery County that my recommendation is to keep sight on that and for prioritization down the road. So when this comes up again, keep that in mind, and please do some research and figure out exactly what refugee resettlement resides within your own values. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll now go into our zoning resolutions. Our first one is CZ2 2020, application of Matthew Pogue from AG to E1. Mr. Tyndall.
Okay, there we go. Good evening. First application before us tonight, CZ2 2020. It's the application of Matthew Pogue. The agent is Andy Wyatt. It's 1.10 acres to be rezoned from ag to E1. It's not an extension of the zoning classification. The property fronts Antioch Road, 1,600 feet east of Palmyra Road, Antioch Road intersection. It's in County Commission District 6. There's an existing home site on the creek in the north portion of the track, has some floodplain. The property is, applicant statement is the property has an existing home on it, and this will bring the property into conformance with the zoning and allow them to replace the home. You can see the majority of the zoning out here is ag with some R1 and E1 out toward Highway 149. Here's the existing property. The applicant's intending to remove the older trailer there and replace it with a more modern home. This is across the street. Property's down there on the right, I believe, and further down across the street. It's in the rural area of the growth plan. It will be on septic, and its water source is Cunningham Utility District. They can only get one lot out of this. Staff recommends approval. The proposed zoning request is consistent with the adopted land use plan. The proposed E1 zoning classification is not out of character with the surrounding area or established uses. The current tract size is less than the 1.5 acre minimum required by ag zoning. E1 request would permit the lot size of 1 acre as currently configured, and adequate infrastructure serves the site. Are there any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Tyndall? We'll now go into public hearing to hear any public comments regarding CZ 2 2020. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this application? Please come to the microphone and give us your name and your address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I'm Andy White. I live at 1240 Palmyra Road. I'm actually purchasing the property. I'm just going to take the trailer out and put a house in. That's it.
Any questions of Mr. White? Thank you, sir. Anybody else, anyone else in the audience to speak on behalf of CZ2 2020? Anyone to speak in opposition to CZ2 2020? Anyone to speak in opposition? All right, we'll close the public hearing for CZ2 2020. Mr. Tyndall, CZ3 2020, application of Alfred Jones from R3 to EM1.
Yes, this is 1.4 acres, currently zoned R3, requesting to go to EM1. EM1 allows for a mobile home to be put on the site, not a zone we typically see, but definitely one that we have out there in the county. The property is directly east of Guthrie Road and Johnson Street intersection and west of Bachelor Street. This is right up on the Kentucky line up there in an area known as South Guthrie. It's a recently cleared tract of land, and the applicant wishes to allow for the placement of a mobile home on the property. It is in the planned growth area. We did not receive any comments or concerns from other departments. We tried to reach out to the Guthrie water system. This portion of Montgomery County actually receives some water from the city of Guthrie. We tried to get them in touch with them. They will have to get water run to the property prior to them building on it, obviously, and they can do that when they pull a permit to construct out there. The historical estimates would be for one lot. As you can see, there's an area of R3 out there that's left over from 20 plus years ago with the intent of allowing that area to redevelop if it wanted to. This is the cleared property in question. Across the street, there's Johnson Street, I believe. Yes, on the right is Johnson Street. This is the rear neighbor to that property. Staff recommends approval. The proposed zoning request is consistent with the adopted land use plan. The proposed E1 zoning classification is not out of character. I'm sorry, that should be EM1. Zoning classification is not out of character with the surrounding area or established uses. Adequate infrastructure serves the site, and the Guthrie service connection would be required prior to any platting or permit on the property. Planning Commission also recommends approval.
Any questions of Mr. Tyndall? Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Honestly, I don't have a question, just a statement. Since the announcement of this proposed change, I have had a multitude of phone calls in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of Mr. Tyndall? We'll now go into public hearing to hear public comments regarding CZ3 2020. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this application? Anyone to speak on behalf? Anyone to speak in opposition to this application, CZ3 2020? Anyone to speak in opposition? We'll now close the public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. On to our resolutions. Resolution 23-1 is a resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners approving amendments to the 2019-20 school budget. Any questions regarding 23-1? 23-2 is a resolution to charge off debt in the Montgomery County Clerk's Office. Any questions regarding 23-2? 23-3 is a resolution to amend the budget of the Montgomery County Juvenile Court for additional funding to cover the cost of juvenile detention services. Any questions regarding 23-3? 23-4 is a resolution of support for the Tennessee Local Education Capital Investment Act, House Bill 0124 and Senate Bill 0198. Any questions or comments regarding 23-4? 23-5 is a resolution of the Montgomery County Commission declaring support of the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. Any comments regarding or questions regarding 23-5? Commissioner Ricky Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. I just, I have a permit, I have guns, I hunt. I'm nothing against Second Amendment. But my question is, does Tennessee even identify the red flag law?
I couldn't answer that question. Mr. Harvey may be able to.
There's a red flag law is a name for a type of legislation. There's a piece of legislation that's cited here in the document, in the resolution, Senate Bill 1807, House Bill 1873. That is in the current legislation, and it is a bill which allows an emergency protection order to be issued. So it falls in that, it's just an identification as a red flag law by those who say it's a red flag law. But that is one of the red flag laws, and it is in the legislature at the time.
But does the state of Tennessee support it or recognize it?
Well, it's just a bill in the legislature right now.
Okay. Another question. On this amendment, I know the red flag law states about, let's say for an example, I feel I got somebody in my family that I think mentally unstable, and I fear for the family and his family. If we pass this, how will that be handled with law enforcement and somebody being in that category?
I think on this particular resolution, it is really just a resolution of support. It's not declaring any, it's just declaring support of, and I'm trying to get to the caption of it. I'm trying to find it. It's on page 87. If you're there, you can.
The caption is Resolution of the Montgomery County Commission declaring support of the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. It's a statement of support, and read as a whole, it's got verbiage in there, but you don't, the state legislature will pass whatever laws the state legislature passes. And so that is solely up to them and their purview.
I was just wondering because, I've had emails, people asking, and with this, I guess we'll have to, once we go through with it, we'll figure out how we're going to handle case by case.
Well, I mean, frankly, what the state legislature passes, they pass, and then this resolution in the end says that each person, we support those who are law-abiding citizens, so they will be following the state law.
Thank you.
Commissioner Knight?
Commissioners, I just want to state that this particular resolution is a symbolic gesture showing that we oppose red flag legislation. Currently, there is a bill, as Attorney Harvey stated, there is a bill set to go before the House that is a red flag legislation. This symbolic gesture that's been passed by several counties within the state of Tennessee just shows our support of, one, the Constitution, and our opposition of red flag legislation. And I will be voting yes, and I ask that you do the same. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Tangi Smith?
Thank you. To answer Commissioner Ricky Ray's question, the red flag bill was introduced in Tennessee legislature in 2019, but Governor Bill Lee has not committed to support it yet, so he hasn't committed it. I promise that I would not get emotional tonight, so I won't. But I too am a survivor, and firearms are the great equalizer. It is. First, I would like to point out that Tennessee currently does not have a red flag law. Secondly, please be aware that this resolution is strictly symbolic. While it is important to me, just as much as it's important to many of us in this room, that's just something that I really wanted to point out and make clear so everybody knows that. Some would ask, if it's symbolic, then why do it? And I counter that with, why not? If it's symbolic, then why not do it? It's obvious that our citizens want it. I mean, I haven't done anything, but they've collected over 1,000 signatures in 3 weeks, and that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Currently, 34 of Tennessee's 95 counties have adopted the sanctuary resolution. We will make number 35. And this resolution is, like I put it in my resolution, is for law-abiding citizens. I want to really reiterate that as well, law-abiding citizens. This came up during our last conference in Knoxville at the end of October, I think. We were talking about it, and other counties that had passed it asked me to bring it to Montgomery County. And I said, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go over, so I waited. I wrote it in December. I introduced it in January, and I just waited and wanted to see what everybody thought about it. And I saw overwhelming support of it. So I, slid it through. I've been asked, and I'm saying this because I've been asked, I want to go on the record and say that, yes, I absolutely think that everyone should take a physical class on firearms. You should take a class on it. And the thought of someone owning a weapon that hasn't taken a class is terrifying to me. It is. And currently, classes are required in the state of Tennessee, and we should keep it that way. But the thought of my fellow veterans being penalized for something that is beyond their control after serving honorably is equally as terrifying to me. That's terrifying to me as well. And so yeah, I encourage all of my fellow county commissioners to support me and vote yes next Tuesday.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Bryant?
I think I understand this to be that this is simply a resolution that whether this body decides to support it or not support it has no meat as far as enforcement. It's just in support of whatever the state passes concerning this red flag law.
I think Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Knight both spoke to what it is. It is symbolic in nature, but it protects the Second Amendment. And I think it asks that the state continue to protect that right.
Yes, I agree it's the state. We're doing it simply as a symbolic gesture to say we are in support of it.
It's correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pritchard.
As former law enforcement,
I do understand the right for anybody to bear an arm, but as far as involving the county in just a symbolic gesture, I am not for it. I don't believe in, I understand what the red flag laws are. I do, and I understand the people that are upset and offended by the red flag laws. But any law-abiding citizen can become a non-law-abiding citizen at any moment in any time. So I feel that by involving us in supporting the amendment, the Second Amendment, when we already, as county commissioners and public officials, we already stand for, recognize, and accept the United States Constitution. I therefore don't feel that having a symbolic gesture of this nature is something that's worthy of this commission. Thank you.
Commissioner Ray, I'll come back to you since you've spoken already. Commissioner Butts?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I am a supporter of the Second Amendment, and I will be supporting this. And I would suggest to my fellow commissioners to do the same. Thank you.
Commissioner Harper?
Thank you, Mayor. Just reiterate what Commissioner Butts just said. I'm a supporter of the Second Amendment. I have a permit to carry. I'm a hunter as well, and I'd appreciate all the commissioners' support.
Commissioner Beal?
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to reiterate and say that I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment, and the reason why this is necessary is because there are legislators that seem to not understand the definition of shall not be infringed. So this is exactly why we need to get this passed. Thank you.
Commissioner Joe Smith?
I just want to let it be known that the Second Amendment is untouchable. It's a part of the Constitution. Every single one of us swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. Many of us in this room are veterans. We swore an oath to protect America and uphold the Constitution. These laws that they're talking about, the red flag laws, there's two being introduced by legislators from Knoxville at the state level that can allow somebody to get an order of protection on you because they don't like you. You made them mad. You might have drove wrong in traffic. You might have yelled at them at some point throughout the day. You might have worked with them and they got fired and don't like you. You could be a veteran with PTSD. There are a number of things that these red flag laws allow to be highlighted for somebody to get an order of protection against you and have your gun rights stripped away overnight. It's already happened in several other states. This resolution is a symbolic gesture of us to the state level to say, hey, Montgomery County is full of diehard patriots, and we don't want those kind of laws in our state. And I think that's all it boils down to. So that's all I'm asking is whether you stand for gun rights, whatever, this is a symbolic gesture that the Second Amendment will not be infringed upon at all, period. And that we in Montgomery County don't want the state to pass any legislation that would allow that. Thank you.
Commissioner Ray?
I just want to make it clear that I'm not against the Second Amendment. I got to ask questions that people call me to ask about in my area. Because anywhere I go, I got a permit and there's something with me except for this building. I want these people in the room to know I support the Second Amendment, but I have to ask the questions my constituents want me to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding that one we were just talking about? 3-7. Somebody's telling me 7, somebody's telling me 5, but 23-5. All right, 23-6. Resolution in support of fiscal year 2020 THD home grant application. Any questions regarding 23-6? 23-7 is a resolution to modify the distant rules for application of beer laws pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated 575101. Commissioners, this has been before you before. It got deferred. We don't have a process where it's deferred back to a committee, but it went back to the Rule Committee. If you'll recall, this resolution, the last time it came before you, the distance requirement was 0. For schools, churches, and other places of public gathering. And from residential dwellings measured from building to building. This would change that, what we currently have, which is 1,000 feet, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Harvey, from schools, churches, or other places of public gathering to 20 feet, and it would be 100 feet from a residential dwelling. Any questions? All right. 23.8 is a resolution to accept and appropriate funds from donation to Sheriff's Office for K-9 retirement. Any questions on 23.8? 23.9 is a resolution encouraging the support of legislation which directs TennCare to reimburse ground ambulance providers at a rate not less than the current Medicare fee schedule and added funding to the 2021 state budget. Any questions regarding this resolution? Resolution 2310 is a resolution to adopt the policy for subrogation claims pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated 827507. Any questions? Would y'all like for Mr. Harvey to give you a very quick summary of what this is? I see some heads shaking no, one thumbs up. Mr. Harvey, can this be quick?
I
quick.
don't think it's fair to ask them if they want to hear it. State statutes changed how subrogation is handled in the courtroom, so we needed a policy of how to handle it. So it went before the Budget Committee and the Loss Committee twice, and they developed this policy in their first discussion. I drew it up, and they looked at it, and it passed theirs the second time. So it's to give us a process to handle subrogation waiver requests because the state statute changed.
Any questions of Mr. Harvey? Resolution 2311 is a resolution to establish authority of the Loss Control and Budget Joint Committee for risk management purposes. Commissioners, this basically, does anybody have any questions? This basically just gives the Loss Control Committee some authority to possibly make settlement offers up to a certain dollar amount, and then it would have to come back to the commission. Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. That would come back to us at the commission? Because it doesn't appear to be the case on the board.
Well, I may have spoke wrong. Mr. Harvey, you speak to it.
No, it wouldn't. It would give authority to your risk management group to handle all litigation. I realize that some of you may look at this and say, well, who will be in control of this and who will handle that? There's a loss control in the budget committee that handles it, and we need some group to be able to monitor litigation, monitor how it's handled, and give someone some authority on handling it. Right now, we really don't have anything in writing, and we've been historically doing it up to a certain point. But as matters progress, as they're being handled, and as we have exposure, somebody needs to be meeting and understanding it along the way. Not me walk in 3 years later and say, we've been doing this for 3 years, here's what we've spent, here's what we've done, now let me tell you about it in 5 minutes and you make a decision on it. Someone needs to be monitoring it along the way. That's the purpose.
To your knowledge, do we have another committee that operates independently of the commission that would make financial decisions for the commission?
Well, financial decisions is an interesting point. These are all funds that are budgeted. Some of these costs go through the pool, and yes, you've already delegated some of that authority to the pool. Who do you think's been settling cases for you for the last 10 years? You know, that you've delegated that. And secondly, and frankly, it's as bold as it may sound, as the county attorney who is appointed by the mayor, I'm supposed to be in charge of helping you process the litigation. I don't mean that I have the authority to do that, but I want some rules and some guidelines within that authority. That's really kind of my task to make sure it moves along properly. But at some point, we've been handling litigation for years and years and years without those votes coming to the commission. I would rather have an orderly process where you've got someone handling it. And I will suggest this to you. The concept is I think more easily understood. Would you like a committee of 6 or 8, the Loss and the Budget Committee, or do all 21 of you want to meet monthly for a litigation session? I mean, that's the distinction I'm making, is that you need to be more detail informed and ongoing, month to month, week to week, case to case. And so if you say, no, Tim, I don't want to delegate it to those 8 people on those 2 committees, I want all 21 of us to meet because I want all 21 of us to vote on it. That's the rub we're working on here.
I understand your point. I may not agree with it, but I understand it.
Any other questions of Mr. Harvey regarding this resolution? Resolution 2312 is a resolution to amend the budget of the Montgomery County Parks and Recreation Department for a naturalist. Any questions? Commissioners, this position was actually requested just for your information, was requested in our current fiscal year and was advised by the Budget Committee that if the position was needed to be hired prior to the end of the fiscal year, to please come back before the commission. With the Nature Center being scheduled to open sometime in September, this position really needs to be on board because they will be doing a lot of the scheduling of visits, exhibits, those type things to the Nature Center, and they need to be on board prior to it opening up and not just walk into a facility that's already open. Resolution 2313 is a resolution to approve prospective lease agreement for use by Austin Peay State University as a tenant at the Multipurpose Event Center. Any questions? Resolution 2314 is a resolution to approve management agreement with Powers Management for the Multipurpose Event Center. Commissioner Beal.
Thank you, Mayor. Are we being asked to approve these as the next step before issuing the bonds?
That is correct.
But these have not been fully executed yet.
No, and I think if you look at the caption of the caption of the one you're questioning, and I'm trying to get to it. 136. If you read the now therefore be resolved that the attached agreement of significant terms with Powers Montgomery County is complete in all principal terms and therefore approved, revisions may be made by the county mayor to move all documents to final, all major terms already in place and may be executed by him. It should be by the mayor for the ultimate management. But it goes on to say that if the significant terms of the agreement, if they do change, it doesn't say, it says that the significant terms of the agreement will not change by revision without a return to this legislative body for further approval.
So the bonds won't be issued until we have signed contracts?
No, it's not saying that.
Did we not?
It's saying that the commission approves this particular item subject to some additional changes that may be made by the county mayor, granted that any of the significant terms that are changed, that are outlined in the document, if they change, they will come back to the legislative body for further approval.
But in November, did we not pass an amendment to the bond resolution saying that we would not do that until we had fully executed contracts?
And I think Mr. Harvey will speak to the fact that that's what these will be.
These documents are the principal terms, and the documents are not complete. And it's frankly difficult to complete documents that can be signed until you have a building constructed. So these documents say the principal terms are these that you have before you in this term sheet, is what that one's called, and there's a pro forma, which is a projection. And it says these significant terms, and they identify which ones are significant, will not be changed, but there may be revisions to the other portions of the document. The other portions being whatever other standards have to be developed, like just rules of operation of the facility. If you, I will suggest to you, if you read the agreement, you'll see that all of the significant terms are in place, but it is not a final document. And it's hard to drive anything to a final document until you really have a facility. Literally, if there was a building there, it'd be a lot easier to draw a document and say, here's what we're leasing to you and here's the way you're going to operate it. So it would amount to your approving this going to a final document.
I understand all that. I understand why we don't have a fully executed agreement yet. My concern is that the amendment to the bond resolution that this body passed said that we would not issue the bonds until we had fully executed contracts.
I agree with that statement, but if we pass this, Powers will sign this term sheet. Austin P has another step, not that we're talking about Austin P, but Austin P has another step for some approvals they have to get at the state level. They cannot sign that until they get it. Somebody's got to be first.
Right,
I mean, we could wait on Austin P, and that's just going to delay our process.
Well, I just want to point out that this body did in fact pass an amendment that says that we will not issue the bonds until we have fully executed contracts. That's my only concern. It's not that we don't have them signed yet. I don't want the bonds issued before we have those signed contracts. That's what this body passed. So that's what I'm asking us to go by.
I agree.
Thank you.
Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question for Mr. Harvey. Aren't these really more of MOUs, memorandums of understanding?
They
Isn't that
are
what they really are?
Listen, I think I can, I mean, the Austin P document is the resolution is exactly the same process. And I can tell you I've met with the Austin P folks, as has the mayor and other people, and they've said, we're ready to sign it now, but we've got to let the state school bond fund look at it. We've got to let the Attorney General's office look at it, both of whom I've talked to their representatives. We've got to let the state building board look at it, and we've got to get that approval before we can sign it. And there may be some revisions. Seriously, maybe some revisions, but if you look at it, the main term agreements are, we're going to pay you $1 million a year for 5 years to lease it. The term is for 30 years. We're going to have 52,000 square feet that we get to use, and we use it in this way, and we've seen the design, and we're going to play probably 20 nights of 26 to 30 games in the arena, and here's how we think we'll share revenue. There's some tweaking in there, but those are a lot of the major terms. And so if the state comes back and says, we want this item in there or that, and it doesn't change any of those major terms, that's the purpose of this resolution. Same is true in the predators.
I guess the point I was making is many times the MOU is going to be a more streamlined or condensed version of what the contract is that follows, and it serves the same purpose as a contract.
You are correct. That's what this is. It's just no one has the authority to sign the MOU at Austin P yet, even in your example, but they're sending it to their state agencies for approval with their blessings. Their local board has approved it.
Thank you.
I mean, regardless of whether or not there was the amendment to the bond resolution regarding having signed contracts in place, I cannot enter into contract with any entity without the approval of this body. So, I don't know why I said that, but I did. So, but I can't. I can't. Any other questions regarding 2314? Under old business deferred from February 22-4, resolution to amend the inmate medical budgets for the Montgomery County Jail and Montgomery County Workhouse for the fiscal year 2020. Does anyone have any questions? Commissioners, I'll give you a really brief update on this, and if you have questions after that, I'll try to answer them. We have sat down with not only staff from the sheriff's office, but also with our risk management office and also with our broker on our insurance company. We then had a meeting with the people that do the contract medical work at our jail. We had some questions about some of the items they were supposed to provide us that they indicated they would in their proposal. We had some other questions regarding some of their processes on why certain patients were transferred. We are still in conversations with that group. To my knowledge, Chief, I don't think they've gotten our answers back to us yet, have they? And so we're still waiting on some answers from those folks, and we will get you an update once we get a resolution with this company. Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to state for the record, I'm highly uncomfortable approving this where we're at. We don't have enough information to base a decision. That's one of the reasons why I asked to defer it last month. And my level of uncomfortableness has not been helped at all. I've read some of the information coming back and forth, which tells me basically, and I'm slimming it down here a little bit, but our contract that we had, the company that we had it with, they did not supply what they were supposed to in the contract. And that's pretty evident to me.
We have that same, and I think we have that same feeling, and I think that was relayed to them very specifically. And so we are waiting on some responses. But I understand your concern about it as well. Because
Personally, I'd love them to come and talk to us, because I'd love to hear that conversation, because I would have a lot of fun with them.
We'd have to start at daylight. Commissioner Pritchard.
It's my understanding that this company is substandard in their providing care to our inmates at Montgomery County Jail and have not lived up to the agreements that they themselves specified they would live up to. In this case, would it not be prudent of us maybe to start looking at other companies that might provide a better quality of service at established prices rather than ending up in the hole for services and treatment that our prisoners are not receiving properly?
Well, and I think there's some terms of the contract that we have questioned, and we have questioned pretty seriously, and we don't have the answers to those questions. But I will say that by law, when somebody is booked into the Montgomery County Jail, we're responsible for their medical treatment. We're responsible to feed them, and there's other responsibilities that go with that as well. And I don't think we can flip a switch and say, okay, you're leaving today and somebody else is coming in tomorrow. But we are looking at options of what are other things that we can do. One would be a possible umbrella insurance policy. We're looking into that possibility. We're also looking into having further negotiations between Montgomery County and healthcare providers for additional discounts. And it may not be, but we're going to have those conversations with Tenova. And so it's an ongoing process. We're not where, I don't think anybody's where we would like to make a recommendation back to this body to say that, hey, we want to do this or we want to do that until we get all of our answers.
I just don't want to see us every year coming back and we're $1 million in the hole.
I could not agree any more than what you just said. Commissioner Leverett.
Yes, I just wanted to also add some context to this. We are not getting what we should have gotten in a contract with this company. But I'm going to also say that, and this may be a little controversial, we didn't put enough demands on this company to get what we should have. We didn't put enough demands on this company. And some of that, we're going to have to go back and look at our processes of how we're contracting with companies. So there is ongoing conversations, commissioners. I just want to let you guys know that. But we, like you said, we did not get what we contracted with, but then we, on our side as Montgomery County, we just have to make sure that what we want in a contract and the expectations that we have of people that we do business with in this county, we need to have it in writing. Because if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. And things that do not go in writing end up costing us money. So not only do we have a responsibility to hold that contractor responsible for what they should have the services they should have provided for us, we as a body need to make sure that what we expect from them is in writing. And so I understand that we have very sick people in our jail. We have some inmates that come to us with all kind of medical issues. But we have to make sure that when we do contracts with companies, what we want and what we expect needs to be in writing, or it's going to cost us some money. So I'll just let you all, let that sit there, and we'll decide next week what we're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Knight.
Commissioners, it seems like there's a lot of concerns and reservations in regards to this particular resolution, and there's a lot of ongoing discussion in regards to it. And I'm looking at this resolution like there's a possibility that we may have to defer it again another month in order to continue on with those particular discussions in order to come to a good consensus. So, thank you.
Commissioner Leverett.
I don't know if we necessarily need to defer it. I think we just need to make a decision.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, I think we just need to make a decision. I don't know if we need to defer it. That might be something we need to keep going on and on about, but we probably just need to make a decision as well.
Well, at some point in time, Montgomery County is obligated to pay our bills. And I think the reason the sheriff's office is asking for this, I don't know where they are budgetarily, because I know that this line item has gone over, and so they're pulling funds from other places, hoping those funds will be replaced at some point in time. So we'll try to get a really good grasp, Jeff Taylor, on where they are budgetary from a budget standpoint to see. I don't think we want to do anything to impact the operations of our sheriff's department. I mean, I'm not going to say send somebody home, but we don't want to quit providing patrol, and we don't want to quit doing things, and I don't know where they are financially from a budget standpoint. So
something at some point.
Jeff just said to me, what?
Very tight if they don't get funding for this at some point.
Well, and I think that's the question that we need to know is, when is that some point? So if y'all can figure that out, please do. All right, any other questions on 22-4? Commissioners, you'll see in your agenda, your reports that are filed. We do have, the county mayor does have, I have some nominations and appointments that will require full approval of the commission. The Public Building Authority, Tim Harvey is nominated to fill the unexpired term of Brown Harvey Jr., who resigned his position with a term to expire December 2022. Tim. Me? Yes. Congratulations. They hadn't met in like 5 years. Good. Judicial Commissioner Joe Papathasis, I can't say his name, part-time, is eligible for reappointment for a one-year term to expire March 2021. And under county mayor appointments, the Public Safety Training Complex Committee. Commissioner Charlie Keene is Chair of EMS, appointed for a one-year term to expire February 2021. Commissioner David Harper is Chair of Fire Protection Committee, appointed for a one-year term to expire February 2021. Commissioner Rashida Leverett as Chair of the Jail and Juvenile Detention Committee, appointed for a one-year term to expire February 2021. And those are the county mayor nominations and appointments. You'll also see the school system's quarterly financial reports, the report on debt obligation for the school system laptops, and the building and codes monthly reports. Just under announcements, commissioners, I know everyone is aware of the deadly storms that moved through our state, south and east of us, and actually west of us early this morning. And it's touched home. Commissioner Ray, his wife lost a cousin, a husband and wife in Wilson County. And so I would just ask each of you to have all of those who lost loved ones in your prayers, but also to, for those that, you know, a lot of people lost everything they have, all their possessions, their home and everything. And so it's going to be a difficult road for recovery. And I know that there's been an outpouring of support for all these communities. And at some point in time, I don't know that we may try to do something as well. But having been through a situation like that, unfortunately, there wasn't any lives lost. We need to give those communities 3 or 4 days to catch their breath, and then we'll start looking at some things that we could do as a community. And then lastly, Michelle Newell has some of these shirts that says "For the Love of Montgomery County." If you'd like one of them, Michelle's right over there. Raise your hand. They're $14, $12. So get you a T-shirt if you want it. And I believe, unless anybody has any questions, what's that? Hold it. Okay. So you got to open it. So this is a public notice for some of you. Just read it, Kyle, if you would.
Sure. Chief Smith just sent this to me to let you guys know. Providence Boulevard is closed just before Peacher's Mill due to a pedestrian being hit. Anyone going through North Clarksville should go through St. B and down the Parkway. Thank you.
We're adjourned. Thank y'all.